Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hidden Korea. Today, we bring you a story that has shaken the entertainment world to its very core. In an unexpected turn that no one saw coming, Hyun and son Ye-jin have just revealed a series of stunning industry secrets, leaving fans absolutely speechless and the spotlight burning hotter than ever. What pushed this power couple to speak out? What truths have been hidden behind the velvet curtains of fame? And why is the entire industry buzzing with tension tonight? Stay with us, because we're diving into every shocking detail right now. The announcement came without warning, slicing through the calm of the evening like a surge of electricity. Hyun and son Ye-jin, one of Korea's most admired and influential couples, had stepped forward to reveal a set of industry secrets so unexpected, so deeply buried, that even veteran insiders felt the ground shift beneath them. Fans froze. Reporters scrambled. Comment sections ignited into a frenzy as the world tried to grasp what had just unfolded. The revelation began during what was supposed to be an intimate fan live stream. The atmosphere was relaxed, lights soft, their smiles warm but reserved. Yet beneath their calm expressions lingered something different, a heaviness, a certain tension in their eyes that suggested they weren't simply here to chat about upcoming projects or share anecdotes from their family life. Something deeper was stirring, waiting to break free. It started with son Ye-jin glancing at Hyun, her fingers lightly brushing the edge of the table as if steadying herself. He nodded, a silent exchange passing between them in a way only longtime partners could understand. Then, with a breath that trembled ever so slightly, she began speaking about the pressures they had faced over the years, contracts that demanded silence, deals negotiated in shadows, schedules manipulated not by creativity but by forces hidden beneath polished studio floors. First, her tone was gentle, cautious. But as she continued, the truth grew sharper. She spoke of the unseen battles they fought behind glamorous red carpets, the invisible weight of expectations, and the countless moments they were forced to smile even when their hearts felt caged. Hyun joined her, his voice steady but laced with a quiet intensity, describing situations where major decisions were influenced, not by artistic vision but by silent networks of power and influence, threads that stretched far wider than the public ever imagined. The live chat exploded instantly. Viewers who had tuned in for light-hearted stories now found themselves pulled into a revelation that felt more like a seismic event. Their comments flew so quickly the system struggled to keep up, hearts and shocked emojis flooding the screen like a digital avalanche. But it wasn't the general confessions that made jaws drop. It was what came next. Hyun and son Ye-jin shared that they had both been approached, separately and repeatedly, by named industry figures urging them to take specific roles, endorse specific narratives, participate in carefully orchestrated publicity moves. When they refused, consequences followed. Subtle but unmistakable. Scripts they wanted vanished without explanation. Things were delayed or mysteriously cancelled. Certain opportunities slipped through their fingers at the very last moment. The couple didn't name names. They didn't need to. The implications alone were enough to send shockwaves across every corner of the entertainment world. As they spoke, the atmosphere inside the room shifted. Son Ye-jin's voice wavered, her eyes glistening with emotions that she had carried far too long in silence. Hyun placed a reassuring hand over hers, his jaw tight, his expression filled with the quiet fierceness of someone who had spent years protecting the person he loved from forces that never should have been allowed to grow so bold. But the true turning point came when they revealed that the breaking point, the moment that pushed them to finally speak out, was not a single event but a pattern, an invisible but tightening grip that had followed them since the earliest days of their relationship. They had endured whispers, intrusive attention, and negotiations that tried to shape their lives into something carefully packaged. And when their marriage was announced, something darker moved beneath the surface, a pressure that few outsiders ever sensed, the kind that tried to claim ownership over their future. Fans watching the live stream felt their hearts clench. This wasn't a scandal. This was a revelation of wounds hidden under years of composure. The truth, delivered gently but powerfully, was more shocking than any rumor could ever have been. Then, as if the moment couldn't grow heavier, Hyun leaned forward and revealed the final detail that tipped the world into stunned silence. There was more, much more, that they hadn't yet shared. And when the live stream abruptly ended due to technical issues, panic surged across the internet. The real storm was only beginning. The live stream cut to black so suddenly that millions were left staring at their screens, speechless, confused, and desperate for answers. Social media erupted with theories, fears, and frantic speculation. Had the stream been shut down? Had someone interfered? Or had Hyun and son Ye-jin chosen to step away before revealing something too explosive? Within minutes, hashtags soared to the top of global trends. News outlets scrambled to assemble emergency panels. The industry itself fell into an eerie hush, as if holding its breath. And somewhere behind all the noise, Hyun and son Ye-jin sat together in a dimly lit room. Phones vibrating non-stop. Messages flooding in faster than they could read. The decision to speak had already shifted the ground beneath them. But the decision to continue, that would change everything. As the night deepened, they finally chose to record a follow-up video, not live this time, but a carefully captured message that allowed them to speak without interruption, without fear of being cut off. Their expressions were serious, but resolute. They were stepping into a storm willingly, because silence had become heavier than the truth. Video, Hyun began by addressing the sudden blackout. He explained that their team had been overwhelmed, communication lines jammed, and the streaming platform unable to stabilize under the sheer volume of viewers. But then, with a slow breath, revealed the real heart of their message. The pressures they faced weren't isolated incidents or rare misfortunes, they were part of a long-standing structure that shaped careers from behind closed doors. He described moments when actors were discouraged from dating, from marrying, and even from expressing personal opinions. For the sake of preserving lucrative public images. Expectations didn't shatter careers instantly, they eroded them quietly, bit by bit, shaping choices until artists barely recognized themselves. Ye-jin then shared a chilling memory. Years earlier, had expressed interest in pursuing a particular project, a role that spoke to her heart, a character she longed to bring to life. But unnamed figures, operating from the shadows, had pressured her agency to steer her toward a different production instead, one with greater financial interests behind it. Her dream project slipped away without explanation, leaving her with a hollow ache she carried for years. The couple wasn't exposing individuals. They were exposing a system. One built on whispered deals and unspoken rules. Rewarded silence. One that punished those who dared to speak out. As the video continued, their voices softened. But the emotional intensity only grew. They spoke of late-night conversations where they questioned their choices. Moments where the weight of secrecy felt unbearable. Loneliness that clung to them even as the world saw them as icons of happiness. They explained that the birth of their son changed everything. Parenthood reshaped their perspective, giving them the courage to break the cycle. They wanted a world where he could grow up without the same invisible chains tightening around him. A world where truth mattered more than image. End of the recording. Both of their eyes shimmered with unspoken exhaustion, but also relief. A burden had been lifted. Uploaded the video. Within minutes, the internet imploded. The revelations spread like wildfire. Fans cried, celebrated, rallied around them. Industry veterans fell into uneasy silence. PR teams scrambled. Agencies held emergency meetings. And in the midst of the chaos, Hyun and son Ye-jin stood taller than they ever had, not as actors, but as two human beings who had refused to let silence win. For the first time in years, the world saw them not as stars on a pedestal, as a couple who dared to confront the shadows of their own industry. Their truth was out, and nothing would ever return to the way it had been. In the days that followed, the industry trembled beneath the weight of their confession. What Hyun and son Ye-jin revealed was no longer just a story, it became a turning point. A crack in the foundation of an image-polished world that had long hidden behind glamour and silence. Yet, even as waves of shock rolled through the public, unexpected warmth began to rise. People admired their courage, applauded their honesty, felt a renewed appreciation for the humanity behind their fame. They were no longer untouchable icons, they were a couple who stood together in truth, willing to face whatever storm followed. And when the noise finally softened, when the world took a breath and the sky cleared just a little, Hyun and son Ye-jin stepped into the light with a sense of peace they hadn't felt in years. They had spoken their truth, had protected each other, and they had shown that even in an industry built on illusion, sincerity could still pierce through the shadows. Thank you for staying with us through every twist, every revelation, and every heartbeat of this emotional journey. Appreciate your time, your curiosity, and your support more than words can capture. Stay with us, because here, the stories behind the spotlight are only just beginning.